It's just so loud. All right, so OneDrive, if you've ever in my graphic design class, you already know how to do this, and I saw some of you already doing it, but I wanted to touch on it real fast. This little bottom corner of your screen that you can see down here if you're looking at the Zoom room. This little bottom corner of your screen is called the tray. And the only thing that we care about in the tray currently for this class is this little blue cloud, the OneDrive cloud, that ensures that you are correctly syncing all of your saved files. So if you do not have a blue cloud, or if you have a gray with a slash through it, you need to sign into that with your computer login, including the Issaquah. As long as you've done that, you'll have a safe place to keep all your files, and that'll allow you to work on any computer in the room. Okay, so see, it's still signing in. Give it just a second to kind of think about it. It's making lots of requests right now. So let's see. Yours good. I'm going to check. Yeah. You don't need audio because I'm talking. Here you go. Okay. You want to just click through those if you haven't already clicked through them. We won't have to do this every day. It's just making sure that you have a good place to do this. Okay. Yeah. So like this. And then we try to you might honestly just I'm gonna go ask the tech. We're working in Google Sheets, so it's not out of place to say yourself. But I'll have to get that very important period because I don't have that. So. Okay, sweet. All right. I'm gonna get started on the next thing. It's boring first step, but it gets the stuff out of the way. All right. So today is kind of sectioned into, I think we're still recording, right? Check, we are. Today is kind of sectioned into 3 steps where we're going to be building a budgeting spreadsheet, which is your first project of the class. And this is something that we're going to kind of refer back to throughout the semester. It's really, really boring at the start, but I can tell you by changing this budgeting system up from what I was doing before, which was not budgeting, not really concerned about how my money was getting spent. By just adding a spreadsheet like the one I'm going to show you, I've saved almost over like $3,000 in like just a couple months. So it really does work, and I'll show you how to use it. And it is something that's really important for the future, even though it is kind of boring in that sense. Before we do that, I want to talk about how you can navigate around my canvas. I structure it in a pretty specific way. Bless you. I structure it in a pretty specific way that is designed to just really quickly understand, like at a glance, what goes where. So if you guys go to modules on Canvas, there's a couple new things we're going to talk about here in just a second. Actually, right now, just kidding. We open up this assignment names resources. This is going to break down how I name all of my assignments. I saw some of you were already looking ahead at project 1.1. This is going to be the breakdown of all of that information that I'm putting together into these Canvas names, so you can quickly tell which assignments are worth the most of your grade percentage, what unit they're a part of, what step they need to go in, and then what the actual assignment is called. It's always going to have those 4 pieces of information. Good morning. So it's always going to start with the grading category that the assignment is part of. You can find these 4 grading categories by going to assignments and then show by type. So this project is worth half of your grade currently. It's not something you want to sleep on at the moment. Or you can refer back to the syllabus and see how the grades break down for this course. So that's the grading category portion. It's got the unit that it's related to. We're going to start talking about Unit 1 today, which is dedicated around finances and a lot of the different pieces around finances. I forgot to mention that we are live. We're on the air. So I just need your attention for this first portion while I'm walking you through some stuff. And then you'll have some time to work. Listen, work is kind of how I have today structured. Okay, so PROJ is the projects category. Number 1 is the unit. The period and then the number after that is the step in the of the assignments that you need to complete in that order for the unit. So like project 1.1 is the first thing for unit 1. And then it's finally going to round out with the name of the assignment, which is budgeting spreadsheet. If you click on that, you can see what we're going to be creating that's due on Friday and something that we're going to improve upon throughout this semester. Okay, let's go back to modules real quick. Just walking you through some. Hi, good morning. I think you're next to Avery.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the required file naming structure of this class. This is only required for when you submit assignments. You can call your stuff whatever you want while you're working on it, but when you're submitting it, it needs to have this specific set of information. It needs to have first initial, last name, and then your period number, followed by an underscore or a hyphen, or the computers don't really like spaces, so you want to do either one of those two. Then the project name, which is what it is on Canvas. And then I borrowed this from graphic design, which we're doing a lot more version number of things. This is not really necessarily required for Future Ready, but it is just kind of an important little piece of file information to keep on your stuff when you're submitting. The only reason I'm telling you this and making some time during class about it is because this file naming structure is going to be graded on your first few projects, and it's going to be a reason that you miss out on some potential points in the future, because it's something that I want you guys to kind of get in the habit of keeping your files organized, because in our increasingly digital world, right, we have tons of different files to keep track of, and it helps to have some kind of scheme to make them make sense when you need to go back and find them. Okay, you can use this in other classes if you want, but for the purposes of Future Ready, everything that you submit for grading needs to have this set of information. It looks like a lot when it's all spelled out like this, but when you submit stuff, it's going to look something like this. Really short. It's just your version of putting your name on your digital file. I don't like to use a lot of paper because then it introduces too many places for things to get lost and they get like whatever. So this is just a way that you turn in your assignments with your name on them. There's just a specific way I want you to do that. Okay. So let's get into, if we scroll down to week 1. I also am going to separate each unit with a page like this, kind of breaking down some of the basics of what that unit's about. And then every assignment or every activity or project or whatever that we do underneath is going to kind of go in a staircase. You can see this in a lot better example on my graphic design canvas. If you've taken web design with me, you know about nesting. It's basically just nesting your assignments in the order of importance. But if you've not taken web design, it's just going to look a little something like this. So graphic design, this first week, we've started 2 units. We did a unit 0, just kind of going over the same things that I'm showing you now. And there's a staircase of the order of events that you need to do your certain assignments. 0.1 comes before 0.2. They're both related to unit 0, and they're both in the participation category. It's designed with the purpose of very quickly understanding how much this assignment is worth of your grade, what unit it is, and what step it is on the unit. So if you're ever absent or you're ever curious on where to start, this is the scheme that's going to be consistent amongst my canvas. You can also notice that unit 1 is ahead of part 1's ahead of part 2. So it's a staircase, just so you guys have a visual of how I like to structure my canvas. All of this is just informational. There's nothing you have to do yet. But now we're getting into the portion of the activity part of the day. Oh, I don't want that. Just kidding. So unit 1 is focused around finances in general, because it's pretty hard to understand how your future could pan out or experiment with different things that you might be interested in without having a solid grip on where the money is coming and going in your life. Hi, good morning. We're in the Zoom room. I can help you get connected to that. You're right next to Cassie on the end here. Okay, so unit 1 is talking about finances. Like I said, it's pretty hard to be prepared for the future without knowing the best ways to use your money, the best ways to keep as much money as you can while still having a good amount of fun with the money that you earn. I don't believe in budgeting in such a way that it's all saving and you never do anything cool because you're worried about keeping the money. My budgets and the thing that I'm going to show you are intentionally designed to allow you to enjoy your money while also building up a savings so that you can comfortably do some cool stuff. So before we do any of that, though, we need to establish something called working numbers. You did this discussion board with some of your career interests. You know, there's definitely a few of you have a couple options that you could explore here. What I want you guys to start doing, this is the first portion of your activity, is to look up a bunch of different salaries for that career that you would be interested in. I'm aiming for about 5 different numbers, and we're going to take the average of those 5 different numbers. So let me write down some of the steps here that we're going to be going over. Let me see. Okay, so your guys' first step for today is to take a career you're interested in. And find the average salary. So you can look for this in places like Indeed.com or other job posting sites. You can just find, see what Google has to offer you. You want to aim for, you can talk, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. Google has to offer you. You can ask people in your life who have this job that you're interested in to see how much they're making, to give you some more informational data. But all of the information that you're looking for here is we want about 5 different numbers for yearly salary, which means yearly amount of income. And to do that, you're going to take the average, and that's going to create what's called our working number. Because we're going to build our budget spreadsheet around these working numbers. So I'm going to give you guys about 15, 20 minutes or so to create an average. 20 minutes might be a bit long. Well, you phone should be away, please, since we're live. Thank you. This will give you a working number that we can put into. I can help you calculate how much you'll make a year, how much you could make per month, and then I'll show you how to design that spreadsheet around that. Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording. I'm actually going to close the Zoom room, and then we'll reopen it at about 10:45 or so to talk about the next step. Does anybody have any questions on what I'm asking currently? Okay, you want to write these down either on paper or in a Word doc or somewhere, because we want to keep track of these numbers so that we can check our math and make sure that these numbers are accurate for our purposes of this assignment. Also, I want you to choose one job that you'd be interested in. I know some of you had a lot of different careers that you could potentially consider. Look at one job for the purposes of this assignment. One career that you would be interested in doing. Instead of doing 5 different careers with one single average salary for each, I want 5 different numbers for one job that you'd be interested in. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to close the Zoom room because otherwise I'll just keep talking in circles. Let's get an average working number of how much you could make per year for your dream job. Recording. Okay. We're live once again, so you guys should be getting back in the Zoom room so we can talk about step 2. Unless you're close to the screen, you can also watch it there. It should start like we did. Okay. So let's talk about step 2. Step 2, now that you have a working number established, now we're going to need to calculate a monthly income. It's tempting to start off to want to just immediately divide your yearly salary by 12. You guys' phone should be put away, please, while you're while we're live, unless you're watching the Zoom room from it, which I don't doubt, or I don't think any of us are, but that's a different thing. Okay, so now I need to figure out the monthly income. Dividing your yearly salary by 12 is not going to get you the accurate number of how much money you're going to make each month, because you have to consider things like your taxes that get taken out of your check, working with some Washington numbers, just for example's sake. Your taxes that get taken out of your check, some things, jobs might have you contribute to things like retirement. Washington State, we pay a little bit more taxes for good roads and for some gasoline and stuff. So there's a lot of things to consider that comes out of the money that you make before it ever makes it to your bank account. So to calculate your monthly income, instead of dividing by 12, you're going to take your yearly salary and multiply that by negative 0.35. This is going to give you a 35% reduction, because that's going to be about how much gets taken out of your check every month. If you get paid monthly or biweekly, it's about 35%-ish. It's higher in Washington, I think. I actually don't know for sure. But this will give you a more accurate number for your monthly income. So I want to show you guys this as an example. Can somebody give me their working number, the average that they came up with? Anybody want to volunteer their working number? 111,666 what? Okay. 111,663. This is my working number. So I'm going to multiply 111,663 by negative 0.35. I'm going to do it with not negative 90. That would be a crazy amount of taxes. This is going to equate to about 30%, 35%. And the negative means it's going to reduce it and give you a more accurate yearly income. So let's take 111,663 times negative 0.35, which did not do what I needed it to do. Okay, so just kidding. We're going to multiply it by 0.35 and then subtract that number. Changing things up. My calculator is not as smart as I thought. Subtract that number to get your monthly income. All right, so, sorry. 111,663 times 0.35 equals $39,082. Every year, that's about how much you contribute to things like taxes, retirement, whatever gets pulled out of your check. This is our working number here. So then we're going to subtract this number from our yearly income to get a more accurate representation of how much money you actually get to take home at the end of the month, how much money you get to keep. This is otherwise known as your net. It's not necessarily profit yet because we still haven't talked about bills and stuff, but it's how much you get to keep after everything gets reduced. So let's do that now. 111,663 minus, what was it, like 39,082 to estimate. So your yearly income is a little bit more like $72,781. So I'm going to write that down here. $72,581 per year. Now, this is the number that you divide by 12. You have to do this calculation for taxes and reductions and stuff first so that you have a more accurate version of your monthly income. So then we divide by 12. Hi, good morning. Then we divide by 12, and that's going to give us our more accurate monthly income. So in this case, I'm going to take that 72,000. I'm going to divide that by 12 to get about $6,000 per month, which in this case, I'm just going to write down here, for example's sake, 60/48 per month. That's if you get paid once a month. And if you get paid twice a month, you're going to divide this number again by 2 to get what you would get about every 2 weeks, $3,024. Now, this is a more accurate representation of your ideal monthly income because this is considering some of the reductions and things that come out of your check. And this is the number that we're going to use to build our monthly spreadsheet here in just a second. So here's your math. You take your yearly salary and you multiply that by 0.35. And then you subtract that number above. It's minus times 0.35. I'll write it as a function, so that's a little bit clearer. We're doing math here. Don't worry, this is about all the math that you guys are going to have to do because I'm going to show you how to make the spreadsheet do all of this for you. And then we divide this by 12, monthly income of 72,581 divided by 12 equals 60/48, or divided by 2 again equals 30, 24. Okay, so you guys need to come up with, move that. You guys need to come up with about your monthly income. Omar, I've done yours for you, so you can just chill, unless you have a different number. I can do this again for another example if you want to see the process one more time, but I can also help you individually calculate some monthly numbers. Okay, so we've completed step 1. We've completed step 2. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Let's move on to step 3, which is actually creating a budget and then a budget spreadsheet to go along with it, which is that project 1.1. I can promise you that we are not doing spreadsheets every day. We are not doing boring number crunching every day. This is just helping us establish a baseline so that you guys can get into the habit of understanding where your money goes. Because in doing this, I learned that I spent way too much money on tasty treat runs, or I've spent way too much money on coffee in the mornings, and it's helped me start actually saving money, even in the working world. You guys have the benefit of still living. Your housing is still mostly provided for the most part. So anyways, that's not important. Let's talk about how to actually build the spreadsheet. So what I want you guys to do, we're going to use Google Sheets for today. You can also use Excel if you're a little bit more familiar with that. But I want to show you an example of the spreadsheet that I use every day to track my finances. It doesn't have my actual information on it, but it does have the same functions. So if you give me just a second to pull that guy up. Where is it? Where did it go? I thought I made a copy. Aha, here it is. Okay, so here's the spreadsheet that I have designed that works really, really well for me. I'm actually going to switch the Zoom screen so that you can see it in more detail. So give me just a second to do that. I found that far too often, I did not like the way that budgeting templates worked for me, especially off of something like Google Sheets, some of the ones that are provided. So I came up with my own, and now I'm going to show you guys how I do some of the things that make my life easier, because this does all my math for me. But let me show you how it actually works here. Let me put the captions over. I'll just put them right here, I guess. My projector screen's kind of a mess, but anyway. So here we have 2 really important main sections of your spreadsheet. You can see it on the Zoom room because I won't be able to show it on my actual screen. But you have what's called a line of credit, which is where your money comes in, whether that's $20 you found on the ground or money that you earned at your job. And then I have 4 different sections for what are called lines of debit. That's money going out. So there's some good working vocab for us for the start of the semester. Debit means money goes out. Credit means money comes in. Even though it's not directly credit cards, it's not debit cards necessarily. Those are just the terms for money going out, money going in. Okay, so the way that I use this spreadsheet as an example before I show you how to build your own, this month is February. Someone give me their working monthly income. The divided by 12, not the divided by 2 biweekly. Marcus, you had your hand up?
My monthly salary is like $200, so like $2,873.
$2,873, you said? Okay, so the way that I use my version is I put 2,873, and then I have this little $200 buffer here. That's $200 that I'm secretly saving from myself because it doesn't get accounted into my budget. That's extra money that prevents me from going broke during the month. So when I put my monthly income accurately here, and then I hit enter, you can see the spreadsheet automatically responds by breaking down my income for the month into 4 important categories. Maybe you guys have heard of the 50-30-20 rule, where 50% of your money goes to your needs, 30% of your money goes to your wants, and then 20% of your money goes into savings. I personally, as a working adult, had a lot of trouble making those ratios work. So I've adjusted them a little bit into 4 categories that are a little bit more specific that will help you a lot as you guys leave high school and enter the workforce or the college realm or whatever you decide to do outside of high school. This will help you at least have an understanding of how much money you can spend each month. So with this spreadsheet and the spreadsheet I'm going to show you guys how to create, I can spend $1,600 on bills, $400 on groceries and fun money, anything that I want to spend that I'm treating myself. And then I'm going to aim to put about $276 into savings. You'll also notice I have this little section over here. We're going to do this later if you want. That tells me, well, I'm green when I'm on budget and red when I'm off budget. So like, for example, I know that this month, if I get paid once a month, I can spend $1,600 on bills. So let's say my rent is $1,000. That is a bill. That's a required expense. That goes in this column that says bills. And then I put rent right here so that I know what that money was spent on. You can notice that my bills number has gone down. I can only spend $603 more on bills this month. Let's say I got a $14 coffee from Mercury's. That goes 14 in the fun section. And I put a little label. You don't have to have a label, but it helps me understand. Ultimately, this is going to be what works best for you. I'm just going to show you guys the tools that I use that help me start finally understanding how to use my money. Say I spent $50 at the QFC, just getting lunch stuff. And then let's say I put $25 into savings, ideally. And then I'll just put the date of today because that's when I put it into savings. Okay, so you notice my numbers have shifted here. I can spend $350 on groceries this month, $386 more on fun this month. I can spend $600 more on bills. Oh no, let's say I blew my tire popped and it's going to cost me $800. Okay. When I put in this 800, you're going to notice bills is going to turn red and it's going to have a negative number here. Tire popped, not pooped. That'd be crazy if tires could do that. Tires popped. I'm almost $200 over on bills. This does not mean that my life is over, that everything is a catastrophe. It just gives me context. It provides me information that I can understand a little bit better how my money works. Before I show you guys how to start building these, I want to give you a disclaimer. It does kind of suck to learn how you spend your money every month. It teaches you a lot about yourself, and sometimes it is kind of embarrassing to learn that you went to 7-Eleven 20 times in a month and you spent over $400, okay? That's what I did. I'm being vulnerable with you guys right now. However, getting into the routine of tracking your finances, it does not have to be in this method that I do, but tracking your finances in some way that makes it as easy as possible and as accessible as possible is going to start saving you money regardless of how you do it. And ultimately, that's our goal for this unit, is to help you guys understand where your money goes and understand how to start saving it. And the third thing is understand where you can direct your money to be a little bit more effective. Okay, enough of all me yakking. Let's talk about how you can actually build some of these functions. Hi. How you can actually build some of these functions and these spreadsheets, thank you, in your own examples. Yeah, I'm going to switch screens. I'm going to show them how to build it on the other. It's just bigger to see on. Okay, so give me just a second to swap some stuff around. We are in the Zoom room if you want to join up and see what we're working with here. Okay, so you guys should now be able to see the smaller DVD screen so I can show you how to start building these. This is where I want you guys to follow along with me as best you can. We are going to go to googlesheets.com and I'm going to show you how to start building. You can use Excel if you prefer. But we're going to go to Google Sheets, whatever spreadsheet program you like to use. And we're going to start building some functions, some areas to put your money that comes in, your money that goes out, and how to make it start doing the math for you. This is a lot of data input. This is a lot of adjustment. But once you do it once, you have a template file that you can just copy every month. That's what I do. And it makes it easy. Okay. So the biggest things that we need to keep in mind are how we're going to break down our expenses, which is also your lines of debit, and how you're going to organize your credit, which is the money you find on the street or the money that grandma sent you in a birthday card or the money that you earned at your job. So a couple key pieces of information that you need to write down are your monthly salary. And you also need to decide how you're going to divide your money into 4 distinct categories. We're going to use my 4 for the purposes of class. You can adjust these for whatever you need. So let's use the working salary that I came up with for Omar, which is $60.48 a month. If your job pays you bi-weekly, you need to do this spreadsheet every time you get paid because you only budget when money comes in. my monthly salary, let's assume Omar's job pays me monthly $60.48. I need to understand, you guys need to write down these after this. You need to write down bills, fun, groceries, and savings. And now we need to decide on some percentages that add up to 100 for the breakdown functions that we're going to write here in just a second. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Can I zoom in? There we go. I'm going to zoom in on the screen so you can see in a little bit more detail. The numbers that I like to work with that work well for my personal life, I put 60% of my money towards bills. I put 15% towards fun and saving or fun and groceries. And then I put 10% into savings. I got a lot of bills. I have a car payment. I have some credit card debt. I have some student loan debt, just to be more vulnerable with you guys. So a lot of my money is going towards bills. Renting in this area is pretty high. So that's why 60% of mine goes to bills. You can adjust these numbers however you feel. This is just what works for Mr. Blakely. You want to do what works for you. Yeah, Brindley.
Would gas go into groceries or bills?
I consider gas a bill. Kaden.
What about the gym membership?
Gym membership and subscriptions, I consider bills.
Okay.
So my Netflix, my YouTube Premium, my Spotify, that is all bills. Because that's something I have to pay. We'll get into when you need to decide what is what, based on how often you use it. Like I'm okay paying for Spotify because I use it every single day. I'm okay paying for YouTube because it's a really valuable resource, okay? So as long as your numbers add up to 100, you have a good setup of notes taken here. We need, moving on to the next step here, you need a income from work section. So I'm just going to call this income work. And then underneath income work, we need income extra. This is when you do chores around the house and you get paid if you guys still have allowances, or if you do some kind of freelance, if you have a side hustle, that's extra income because that's not income that comes from your job. So my income from work is my monthly salary and my income extra is blank currently. If you want something to put in these boxes, I like to go left to right with label to number. Again, you do what works for you, but if you're following along with me, that's totally fine as well. I usually put an equals 0, and it's just going to automatically equal out to 0 because we're going to change that number later, or we can easily add to it, especially in the income extra section. When you find $20 on the ground 30 times a month, you can just add it each time you find a $20 bill on the ground. So these are the notes that you need so far. You need to decide on some percentages. 60% is high to go towards bills, but I do have a lot of bills. I imagine you guys want to spend some more money on fun and savings at this part of your life. And by budgeting, you'll end up consistently with money left over at the end of the month. Even if you don't have a job, you can understand how to use the extra money that you're getting or the extra money that you're provided in a way that actually lets you keep more of it and increase your savings total. Okay, anyway, sorry. We have our lines of credit here. This is all income. These are all notes. Remember, credit means money coming in. Now we need to do some lines of debit. I like to do my lines of debit in a column sort of style. So I will do bills, expenses is what I want you guys to write. I'm hitting the tab key to just move one over. Then I have fun expenses. I have grocery expenses. And then savings is kind of a weird one because savings is not technically an expense because you still have the money, but it is an expense in the way that money is moving and going to different destinations. It's coming out of one account and going into another account. That counts as a debit transaction. That's money moving out. So savings is technically an expense, even though it is your money that you're not losing. You're just putting it in a spot that you're not technically supposed to be accessing. That's why it's savings. Is this making sense so far? Let's start doing some actual functions. Okay. These are just percentages. 60 plus 15 is 75. 15 plus 10 is 25. That gives us 100. Something that I like to do because I don't trust my own math skills is create something called a parity section. Maybe you've heard of this word parity. In math, I think it means whether a number is positive or negative. In computer science, it means backup and restoring of data. It's basically a section for your math to get checked. So I think it's important to include because I don't trust my own math skills. I make a parity section, which I'm going to call backup. I want you guys to do this as well. Backup is just going to add the income and the extra work sections so that it is still the same numbers. So like, for example, you can either double click on a cell. Oh, there was a problem. You can either double click on a cell to change the equals number. I'm going to put my monthly salary in here. So I'm going to put, what was it? 6048. Okay. And that's just going to equal 6048. And then if I double click, you might be wondering, why is it equals 0 instead of just 0? This is where I can change this 0 to be a 20. And then I made $5, I don't know, on a dare. I made $30 for my side hustle. I can separate those by pluses, and it's going to do that math for me to show me that I made $55 extra this month. Now, to go with the backup, sorry, I skipped a step actually. We're going to change backup to be total because we want to add together our money that we earned from work and our money that we found or that we did from other things. We want to add those together to get a total number of total amount of money that we can use each month. So to do that, we're going to write our first sum function. To do a sum function, you type the equal sign and then you write the word sum. You can either go all uppercase or all lowercase, S-U-M, sum, followed by some parentheses. And inside of these parentheses, you're going to put the cell locations. Cells are organized in columns and rows. The columns are alphabetical, the rows are numerical. We want to add together this information from the income of work, and we want to add together this information from the income of extra together to earn our total number of money. To do that, we type the name of the cell with a letter followed by number. So this is B7. You can see it highlights it on my screen. And then we're going to add a comma to separate what we want. You can think of the comma like a plus sign. We want to add B8 to that. And when I click off of this sum function that you can see here, it's going to give me $6,103 because that's 6048 plus 55. That's how much money I can work with this month. That's how much money I can budget out. We're all just setting up our line of credit here. We've not set up any debit yet. I know this is, just bear with me, guys. It gets interesting. It's more interesting than this. This is where I like to add the parity section, which we'll come back to later because we need some expenses before we do any of that. Okay, so you just have a backup section underneath your total section. This is ugly. I will show you how to format it later. We just need to understand how the functions work before we do any of that. So I've set my bill total to be 60% of my total income, my fund money to be 15% of my total income. Same thing for groceries. And I'm trying to save 10% of my total income. These four sections right here on this row 11 are going to be where we can see how much we can spend of this 6103 every month. Now to do this, it's more sum functions. So equals sum, I'm going to go lowercase this time. And I'm going to do the cell that has my total money, which is 6103, that is D7. If I click right here, you can see, you can also just click on them directly. You don't have to put them in necessarily like this. Then you hold shift and press 8 to get an asterisk. This means multiplied by. This is where you set the percentage that you decided for how much you want bills to be as a decimal. For me, it's 0.6. So I go 0.6. And then when I hit enter, it's going to give me 60% of $6,103, which should be $3,661.80 that I can budget, or that I have budgeted to spend on bills for this month. Now I'm going to repeat that process, walking through it on fun, groceries, and savings, so you can see my process and copy it alongside of me. I'm going to start with an equal sum, parentheses, take our total number of money, which is D7 on my case, multiply that by the percentage as a decimal, okay, 0.15 or 0.15. Hit enter. I can spend $900 on fun stuff this month. That's tasty treats, that's coffee runs, that's going out with your friends. It's a new video game, new album, new shirt. All stuff you don't need is a fun expense. Groceries, the same thing. So I'm just gonna go equals sum, parentheses. Click on my total number, which is D7, multiply that by 0.15. That's 15% as a decimal. Hit enter. Same process for savings, equals sum, parentheses. Click on my total number. Oh, hold on. Something's mad. Oh, there we go. Okay, now click on my total number. And I'm gonna multiply that just by a 0.1 because that is 10%, and then hit enter. We can't do the backup section yet or until you have these numbers, because the backup is dependent on the budget outcome like these to make sure that the amount that we have budgeted is the same amount that we have put in to the spreadsheet each month. Now to do that, we're going to do a sum of an entire row, the entire row 11 here, to make sure that our total income matches our total number budgeted, so that we have a plan for all of our money for each month or for each paycheck that we receive. And to do that, it's another equals sum, parentheses. We're going to do a range of cells this time. So I go from A11, which is my first expense right here. And then I can hold shift on my keyboard and click to where I want the range to end, encompassing everything in between. If I hold shift click and I click on D, column D, row 11, you can see it's going to highlight these four things right here, separated by a colon, 2 colon, if you want to type it out like this. Then when I hit enter, gives me the same number to ensure that I am budgeting the exact same amount of money that comes in every month. And once you do all of this setup, you create this as a template and you copy that every month so that you have all the math in the same spot, in the spots ready to go. Yeah. Okay, Jack, you have a question? The whole thing? Oh, this, yeah, it's a sum you can see in the top right here. It's a sum of the rows that all of the expense functions happen in. So if you need a visual, you can look on the screen or in the Zoom room. Yeah. This is where I think we should be at. I know this is like pulling teeth, I'm sorry, but it is important to do. If yours is looking like this, if yours is functional, what I can do is go into my income work section and I can change this number. Let's say I only made $2,300 this month. I can hit enter and it's going to automatically, that's all I have to change. Say I didn't find all that money this time. Let's say I only found $5. Spreadsheet does the work for me. That's the goal. With doing all this setup, it does the work for me. Okay, give me another number for monthly income. I'm gonna do $5,900. $59,000. Okay, I can spend $35K on bills, $8,000 on fun, $8,000 on groceries, and I can put $5,000 into savings. Say I made $10 this month. I can spend $9 of that on bills, $2.25 on groceries and fun, and I can put $1.50 in savings. Oh, this is actually $15. There we go. That's a little more accurate. Kaden.
How would you even survive with that? You would eat like 2 meals a month.
Yeah, that's why you guys are gonna make more than $10 a month. What if I made a single cent per month? 0.01. Is that right? Is it 0.1? No, that's a dime. It'd be 0.01. If I made a single cent, I can spend 0.006, right? You get it.
Can't buy anything.
You cannot buy anything. But let's say I won the lottery and I made $10,000 extra. Okay. Wow, I can spend so much more money now. In doing this setup,
You know what? That's so much money. You probably wouldn't want to spend so much on fun 15 because you don't need it.
agreed. Oh, I actually need to speak.
Let's
So-
say you would probably have to spend millions of dollars on food, thousands. How are you getting that?
If you've got no money in your income sections and it still says 0 through all of the expenses, then you're in a good spot. What time is this class out? 11:30. Okay, that's about all the time we're gonna have for today. I'm gonna process these Zoom rooms so that you can see them later. But actually, one last thing, let's practice naming this file. So I'm gonna click on Untitled Spreadsheet, and I want you to put your first initial, last name, period number. This is P2. You can capitalize the P if you want to separate it from the name a little bit. You can do a dash or an underscore, hyphen or underscore. And then this is project 1.1. You can just do proj 1.1. You can just do 1.1. You can do budgeting spreadsheets. You could just do budgets, right? And that's all you need the information for this Canvas naming system.
Don't, which,
Okay. Okay.
do I need to make a account?
No, it's just.
Oh.
Yes.
One, and then, like,
There you
oh, that
go.
one.
And I'll help you catch up. Okay, so 1 second. I'm also gonna export this as an Excel sheet so that you can reference it later if you ever need to. It's just gonna be exactly like this. But I do want you guys, the purpose of the project for 1.1 is to track your expenses, whether they are your real expenses and income from a job that you have or simulated, made up. You can do whatever you want. I'll show you how to start putting them into the sheet tomorrow when you guys are back. And then we'll just go from there. This will be your first project due Friday at midnight. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up the Zoom room and answer the last couple questions. This will get uploaded by 4th period, so you can come back and reference anything that you saw during the lecture today. Yeah. This is a great start to your financial journey. Let me end this real quick and then I'll come help you guys.